Welcome back to the Amoris Pathres podcast, Letters of Love from the Holy Father. Join us as we discover the truth, beauty, and goodness found in papal encyclical letters. Welcome everyone. So we are at the end of our second encyclical Humanae Vitae by Pope Paul VI. We have recorded 2 previous episodes. What we try to do is we cut down the entire encyclical, though it is a short encyclical, into 3 parts so that we can get the most out of it. As you may have read or known, every single sentence in this encyclical letter is so profound and full of truth. So we thought that just one single episode would not do justice to it. So welcome, Sam.
Hey G, and so great to talk to you about this beautiful encyclical. I never expected that this would come to the 3rd part. I really love Pope Paul VI in this matter, G, like how he talks to each stakeholder that is involved in the preservation of life. It's not about the regulation of the birth, but it should be called the preservation of life and the continuation of God's promise and God's love.
Yes, surely. I remember talking about this to somebody and they said to me that I was too idealistic. So do you think we are being idealistic here, Sam? According to Pope Paul VI also in this encyclical?
I think he proves us wrong. Maybe the ideals are too low, maybe the bar is too low, as Chrisana's told in the last episode. But it's both. We should have ideals which are not changing with the time, but our practices, our works, our efforts should be in reaching the ideal. That's ethics and morals. I think Pope Paul is very in his right mind, partnering with the divine institution and his authority. I think he's in a good place. Yeah. And you too, following him, are in a very good place. Maybe the world is not in a good place. That's why there's a need for this encyclical.
And I like how he addresses that it is not an easy teaching. He does address that there is this calls for sacrifice from couples who are forebearers of God's divine power in transmitting life.
Oh yes. The love between them is what is under attack from every angle, especially from them, from the couple itself.
Family is the primary unit in the state, and he's addressing it to the public authorities, and he's asking them that they have so much power and responsibility to bring about the common good. So this includes not just the governments, but we're also talking about philanthropic organizations, NGOs, civil society organizations, everyone who's involved in bringing about common good and justice.
Families make up society. Each home is a family. Each family makes a society, and shared values and shared morals make a culture of the society. It has become so individualistic right now. Talking about the public authorities, they bring about the laws, the moral behavior of the culture through their acts.
But I don't know how much control can the government teach morals, or does that come from a family? Isn't that the role of the parents to teach morals and to the children?
It depends on the authorities. Parents are an authority. The civil authorities are also an authority. The government is an authority, and church is an authority. The priest at the local church is an authority. We talk about obedience a lot. I was thinking this morning about catechesis. Pope Francis posted something on his Instagram about the role of a good catechist. But more than what we are being catechized in the church, we are almost 10 times being catechized by the world outside on Instagram, on YouTube. It's very short information. And regarding to the question, G, I don't think it should be only one. It can be collective. Like family starts with your mother, starts with the father, and starts with the relatives around, starts with church. The church is doing its duty as a catechizing the children, like trying to bring them up in good morals and good order.
Yes, I think the public authorities here, then their role, as we discussed in God is Love also, is to uphold justice and to make sure that these moral laws are they are safeguarded through the kind of policies and programs and that they implement or they design. Here Pope Paul VI talks about, like we said, the difficulties which public authorities especially in the developing countries might face in terms of population, which is such a hot topic these days. For example, like Prince Harry and his wife getting an environmental award for choosing to have only 2 children. That makes no sense. I mean, if you just look at the kind of lifestyle they live in, the mansions, the private jets, I wonder what their carbon footprint is, but and he says you should seek true solutions. We should not look at something which is easy or something that just needs to be done, but we should think whether what solutions we are giving is right or wrong, which is true. Most authorities have failed to realize that there is a spiritual realm, and like you said, it's postmodernism and materialism which has taken control, or in a broader term we call it secular I haven't pronounced that word the secular world, which totally ignores the divine and the spiritual, only the things which we can touch and see. And so I think that's where people go wrong.
I look at the universities. That's where the breeding happens of all these new ideologies, and that they let loose on the world like hounds. They have trained. They give it to the public authorities. The public authorities look to the universities, the strongholds of science and wisdom, and I don't know, I shouldn't be calling it wisdom, but science and knowledge. What is happening in this modern world? Let's call it the modern world, where science has taken over and God is dead, as Nietzsche has said. Looking at the supremacy of science, I've seen to fix a problem, they create another problem. To fix the problem of population, they have started another problem. Right now, all I see is the consequences, and I say maybe they have failed. Maybe they have won in many cases, but they have failed in not many cases. What I see all of the reasons is they have not found their recourse to God. They have not found the solid base in the divine. They haven't seen man as he himself is. They have just seen him as a lab specimen, or a man to be worked on, or a problem to be addressed, but never as a man made in the image of God. Universities have forgotten God. Universities are where condoms or free pills are allowed more than anywhere. Yeah.
I think Christian couples are called to humble obedience to God. So whether that is being open to as many children as God wants to give them, or also I think of those couples that go through infertility, and how they are also called to be obedient to God. Probably it's a cross in their life. And see, that's the thing where I see if God is not there, then people are going to try to frustrate life into existence through practices like IVF and surrogacy, which are so immoral, right? So that is where it's an extremism, an extreme end of scientific knowledge, where Pope Benedict XVI said faith has to purify your reason, which is not happening because there's no faith. And Christian couples in Three to Get Married by Fulton J. Sheen, he's talking about God and husbands and wife and children, and then he also addresses a whole section on those couples who go through the cross of infertility, and how they are also called to be spiritual mothers and fathers to the congregation, to their local church, to their local parish. It's not just through biological children. Think of priests and other religious sisters. They are also called to be spiritual mothers and fathers, right?
Yes.
Even when couples do have children, we recognize that is also not easy. There are many challenges that come in, especially financial challenges and other things that come into the family's life, which makes it a challenge to raise a big family. And for this reason, Pope Paul VI says that they should take up the burden appointed to them willingly in the strength of faith and of that hope which does not disappoint us, because God's love has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. I feel the church is so gracious, because at one point the church does tell you that you are wrong. It tell you you are wrong because it loves you. But at the same time, it opens up the windows of mercy towards people also. Yes, you have done wrong, but do not lose heart, because there is this grace and mercy of God. And even if you have done something or done a mistake, you can always find recourse in God. So there is this dual nature of the church which I see. It's like a teacher which will discipline the child when needed. It will love the child, but at the same time it will also tell the child that he or she is wrong.
Sounds like a strict mother and also a
yes,
loving mother.
Like all mothers, I think.
I love the sacraments. I love how grace is imparted to us through them. And sacrament of penance, confession is the important thing for me, because I fall short always. God through the church has made a lot of ways possible for us to experience grace. Yeah, and the church is living it out. So beautiful. that we have a Lord always present with us. That's what Pope here writes a very beautiful line. Then let them implore the help of God with unremitting prayer, and most of all, let them draw grace and charity from that unfailing fount which is the Eucharist.
So beautiful. And just to give an example, there are many ministries in the US, the Sisters of Life, Rachel's Garden, Rachel's Vineyard, something like that. I don't remember the exact name, but these are ministries that work with women who have gone through an abortion, because abortion brings in so much of guilt into a woman's, and it affects their mental health and physical health to extents that most pro-choice people don't even want to discuss. It is true that women go through a hard time post their abortions and they need healing. And this is where the church comes in also. So at one point the church is preaching that this is wrong, but at the same time it's like, no, but you come in because you need healing. And these wonderful sisters and these people, they walk with women who have gone through an abortion. They walk through their healing journey into forgiveness, forgiving themselves, which is so hard, right? And it's so wonderful. I feel the church is so consistent and so gracious.
Yes, it's very hard cross to carry in the family, and I've seen these two divine laws which governs the transmitting of life and also which governs the fostering of married life and the family as an apostolate.
Yes, and I think that's where a lay vocation can bring fruit.
Yeah, let's talk about the next stakeholders in line. It's very interesting. Those doctors and nurses. Let me hear from you, G. Yeah.
No, I underlined this one, and it says that, let them therefore continue constant in their resolution always to support those line of actions which accord with faith and with right reason, and let them strive to win agreement and support for these policies among their professional colleagues. That's huge. I love it.
I love this line.
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really hard to stand up for what you believe in.
It's the fight of the ideas in everywhere, G. This is this line continuing. Moreover, they should regard it as an essential part of their skill. And when married couples ask for their advice, because the very word doctor means one who is learned, and when they ask for the right counsel and for proper direction, they should be able to give it. But I think they should be clear on their stance. That's why he talks about those who are Catholics. In a different paragraph, he says like they ask you because they look up to you. You're a doctor. You're a learned man. You have spent your years in this. But let it be right. Let it be a right counsel and right direction from the very difficult field of medical knowledge, which entails the danger and the beauty of saving lives, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. I think doctors and nurses have a very crucial role. Actually, reading this paragraph reminded me of Blessed Franz. He was an Austrian farmer. Everyone should go and watch A Hidden Life. It's a beautiful movie on him and his life, which he sacrificed to stand up for the truth and morals. So he was executed for not willing to fight for the Nazi army, because within him he was feeling this kind of uneasiness, like he could not even imagine to do something like that which is against his morals. And many people, including the priest whom he went to get advice from, told him but God knows your heart, so why would you do this to your family? And he was like, no, I cannot. That was such a beautiful example of truly living the Christian life, even if it calls to death. I mean, it was really like goosebumps. Everyone should go and watch that movie.
Let's enter into the deeper waters. Right now, Pope Paul addresses his sons, as he calls, and now my beloved sons, who are priests. I actually love in being in persona Christi. There should be an example, and there should be the teaching authority, and there should be one voice, isn't it? They should clearly teach us the teaching on the marriage in sincere obedience to God and to the magisterium of the church. They should speak in one voice, as Pope quotes Saint Paul, the great apostle here, like, appeal to you, my brethren, by the name of Lord Jesus Christ, that all of you agree and there be no dissensions among you, but that you be united in the same mind and the same judgment. How he is appealing to his own sons.
I like this. He says, we turn to you filled with great confidence, to all our priests and those in formation. We come to you in confidence because we have this hope and trust that in persona Christi, like they are who we look up to. They are the spiritual fathers. Upon them is been given this great responsibility to be the shepherd to the flock. The priest's role here is so important. It's so important in his local parish, in his community.
Our priests here, I so thank God and I pray for them. They are living out a sacrifice as our Lord. They have a mission. They carry each of us on their hearts and shoulders. Everyone is their sons and daughters, every family, and they have an obligation and a great burden, like the pains of labor, that the same pain they carry each one of us. When I see my father here, and when he sees me talking about something, and when I make efforts to attend daily mass or do something which makes me closer to God, I see his face beam up with the joy, the real joy that comes up, and that's when he leaves me. It's a very small talk, and then when he looks at me, and when I see longing and when I see running towards Christ, that's when his joy is fulfilled, like every mother's and every father's, like when the son is living out the lives that they want. Thank you so much for the fathers and for the priests, for the hands which handle a lot, and for the feeble knees that carry all our burdens.
So true. What would we do without our spiritual fathers? And having priests is such a blessing, and I really pray for them because they really have a big cross to carry.
And now adding as brothers in the episcopate to the bishops in each diocese. The role of a bishop is very crucial. St. Francis de Sales was a bishop. Reading his introduction to the devout life, I saw his bishop duties and how he managed both the bishop duties and also his care for individual souls under him, and also his administrative duties. I found it very inspiring, and looking at the bishops, they carry a burden of the diocese, and also they are responsible in letting for the whole church, I think, in a way, as contributors through each diocese. I think Pope Paul's approach here is very thoughtful and very wise and very needed. He's addressing each bishop just to take care of the priests under him, and also the faithful, and also defend marriage, and also make sure that the progress happens in each way of the life, like in human life, not only individually but in every way possible, in economic, cultural and social, so that will make the life easier, like that will make life flourish in all three areas of truth, purity and goodness.
Yes, I agree. I think bishops, like you said earlier, like have an authority, and they have been given this authority to lead not only the lay but even most importantly their priests under them, and they are called without delay to safeguard the holiness of marriage in order to guide married life to its full human and Christian perfection. And I love this. He says, consider this mission as one of your most urgent responsibilities at the present times. So many 50 something years after this encyclical letters is written, it is even more true that there is this need of being almost what to say, like not just zealous, but we need to like a bulldozer push through this responsibility of safeguarding marriage, because we're really far away from it. Marriages are destroyed in so many ways. So it's an appeal to the bishops in their own parishes, in their own churches. They uphold this truth, and they lead married couples to live a life of fullness in their sacrament of marriage and vocation.
Priests and bishops need a much of grace from God, and also strength and prayers, and also support from the laity, and also God's grace and God's Spirit is always working strongly in these areas. The church is never without a founder, without her. Christ is always with her. God's Spirit is working, and the Father's will is being fulfilled in all of these. And I think Pope Paul VI is a very great diplomat. After this, he talks about those people who has summoned all of you, all men of goodwill. Great indeed is your work of education, of progress, and of charity. And he talks like as Peter's successor, who faithfully guards and interprets, and he signs this as his authority given to him. I love how Pope Paul VI invites all men of goodwill to share in this God's great design of keeping marriage safe from the attack of the enemy and of the evil of the modern world of science, things that are harmful and that are trying to regulate birth. which is not God's design. It's a very perfect ending. For man cannot attain the true happiness for which he earns with all the strength of his spirit unless he keeps the laws which the Most High God has engraved in his very nature.
Yeah, this is a one-line summary for this entire encyclical letter.
What should we do about this encyclical? Why did we take great pains and great time to at least 2 months, I think, have passed in reading this encyclical, and we know the importance of it, and our followers know the importance of it. And what should be the next course of action? Because we still face the enemy. What do you think as a practical suggestion that we should lead through this encyclical?
Yes, my advice would be the same, and that young people to live out their vocations. And if you know that you are called to a vocation of marriage, then to love your vocation, to love your husband, to love your wife, to love your children, to go love your family and to serve your family. Those are one of the most beautiful things in life. Getting married, having children of your own, and raising a family. And if that calls us being rebellious in this modern world, then sure, let us be rebellious. And because we trust the Lord, that when He teaches us something, it is for our good, it's not for our harm. It is so that we have a good life with hope and a future. So we trust these words of the Lord given to us through the church's teaching, various other teachings, but especially also Humanae Vitae. We just need to go and show the world an example of the beauty in marriage and family.
Thanks, G. Before this encyclical, I was just a simple Catholic without knowing any of these. And I made efforts to learn, to see what the church teaches about this. And it has been so great, and I am changed into a different man right now. And I look up to everyone just to read this encyclical and follow along the readings that are happening, and also see the change that will happen in your own lives. You'll see the heroic efforts that are needed to enter into marriage, and how beautiful when you take up those heroic efforts.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think we have come to the end of the episode now, Sam. From my side also, it has been a wonderful journey reading through this encyclical and recording and talking. I've learned so much about the beauty in the teachings of the church. I don't see it anywhere else. Yes.
Say yes to God's design, and everyone take up their vocation, take up their battle cry, and let's fight for true, good and beautiful in marriage. Yes. Thank you all the listeners who are following along.